third and final part for question 1, how do your products use or challenge conventions, and how do they represent social groups or issues? Sorry. Okay, so I'm going to be focusing on my website here. So when you click onto it from my website, I've got quite a bold image there, and you're met with this. So I feel as though if I'm looking at the design first, I think it's a great way for the artist to market and promote their music while also interacting with their fans. The more depth and detail there is, the more it will appeal to the target audience, which is exactly what I want. So it does allow the audience to keep up to date with upcoming releases, tour dates, and general info, which will always go down well. It does bring in more sales for the albums, the merch, and the concert tickets, and can also help to promote the record label. It's also been known that it can help other similar bands working with the label if they're of like the similar genres, for example, maybe subgenres and same sex and all of that. The audience will feel closer and more incorporated in the artist's world, which will be more tempting for them to, for example, buy some of their merch or something. General conventions, moving on to them. So the typical things which are included in a website, a music website, would be the ULR bar or navigation bar, the menu bar, the main background image, other multimedia content, downloadable content, the UGC, which are basically like blogs, Twitters, etc., hyperlinks such as iTunes, and store for merch. Obviously, I want to make sure that this looks as realistic as possible, so I did include pretty much all of these, just not the ULR bar. So for the logo here, I wanted quite a simple layout, make it easy as possible for the audience. It stands out nicely against the background. Yeah, the font is easy but yet distinguishable, which is what I wanted to get. So yeah, so moving on to the inlinks as well. So it's really good because the color works well with the background. Nothing really contrasts like badly. The main features on the website as well. Yeah. So for the style then, we're looking at the style and the colour, trying to represent the band collectively rather than just one individual. This might be quite hard as like the song which I chose only had one lead artist for it. But when you're doing your band website, you really should think about how all of these products are going to affect the overall viewpoint of the band. So for genre, I made it obvious through the use of images, and although my music video might not be that cheery like the typical conventions for a pop video, I feel as though because I've got quite a lot of colour going on here, that it's okay and I can get away with it, if that makes sense. For the outlinks, like social media, I've got them they're always on my page. I think it's a great way to appeal to the modern audience, and it's a way for the record label to market the band to a global reach rather than the people who are in their local area, for example. So it makes a big difference, the internet. So for my predominant image, which is this one here, it's the first image that the audience is going to see when they click onto it from my website, and as a result it's quite eye-catching, but then they'll also be able to relate it to my digipack because that's the front cover for that. Yeah, so if we go on to home, which is the page I'm on right now, 5 soz. I've included the same striking image as on the digipack, as I just said. So for the background image, I feel as though it is eye-catching, but it doesn't distract from all of the info being provided. There's something a little bit intriguing about it, and it does match with the colour scheme. Yeah, so I did play around with the idea of speckles, but I found that the quality was just really low in them, and that it just looked more grainy. I wasn't liking the effect which it was providing, basically. Okay. Yeah, I did think about putting some like images from a live performance or a photo shoot style, but I felt as though this wasn't going to fit with my vibe of the band, really. I know that they have done that, but I don't feel as though this would suit the style which I'm leading it down at the moment. So at the top here, after you click on my little interactive arrow, you get the list of tour dates, of which if you click, you're taken to an in-link with more of the dates, and you'll be able to pick and choose from what suits you best. There's also a listen and play to the latest album here, with the purchase to get the full album if you want. So I did make this when it was only part of the 13 Reasons Why album, before they brought out their Calm special. That's why I've got the 13 Reasons Why plug here rather than the Calm album. Yeah. So the official music video is here. It's a good way to publicly get out the video, as it's got a higher chance of getting more views. I think that it's important that it is on the first page, just because that is the page which everybody is going to open up to, and they'll have a look around. And if that's the video which they're most proud of at that time, it makes sense to advertise that as well. I've seen this done by a few other artists such as Ed Sheeran and Billie Eilish, so clearly there is a little bit of a trend there. So I have a very short bio here of 5 Seconds of Summer and a little bit about them, just so then their fans will be able to find a little bit more about them if they want to know. I've also got a little in-link here as well if you want to find out more about the album of Teeth. Okay, so if we go on to news, so for news, I've created a few examples of the up-to-date news, allowing fans to keep up with all of the latest events in the band's lives, including merch releases, new albums, songs, passions of bands, which I'm thinking about this, for example, like anniversary dates of celebrations like this, for example. Yeah, and special dates. I really feel as though this is a lovely way for the band to keep up to date and show what they care about in a way and what's special to them. Yeah, I'll come back to my social media in a minute. Okay, so when I click on tours, it uses an outlink to Ticketmaster, allowing the audience to, so say I wanted to go to Dublin, it uses an outlink to Ticketmaster, allowing the audience to see all of the dates up to date in that event, well, in that area for this band. I think this is a really interesting thing. You're able to scroll through the website. Maybe if I don't click Dublin, let's go with London. You're able to scroll through the website or on Ticketmaster and be able to buy your actual tickets through this website, which I think is pretty cool, to be fair. And they all work and everything, which is pretty good. As long as we like ignore the fact that most tours will be cancelled at the moment due to Corona. But hey ho. Okay, so back on my website, I have a little connection bar down here, where I've put all of the contact details, like their social medias, and then if they want to go to the merch store, the music store, or the ticket purchase, which again would just take them back to the Ticketmaster website. But all of these work as well. So it takes them to the official websites, which is kind of cool. Yeah, so I made sure that all of those outlinks do work. It's gonna load. Yeah, so they all do work, just showing that the connections, the outlinks are there, which is quite nice. On my music and videos page, at the top of the page, I've included the band's like top songs here. Like this is giving the option for the audience to listen to the bands, like their best songs. Also included I've also included like their latest album. I know that this is on the front cover, but there's no harm in repeating some of the information just to like increase the exposure, which will mean that they'll get more views, more watches, etc. Yeah, I knew that they brought out their album Calm, but that was a few months after I finished, so I was really toying with if I should include some of their top songs up here. I feel as though they haven't really had the time yet to get the same status as some of these songs, but for example, Teeth, that came out before in an album for 13 Reasons Why, so I felt as though I could put it up there. Yeah, so again, I've got this connection bar on all the bottom of my pages just so then there is a nice cohesive look towards all of the pages. Okay, moving on to Connect to Us. So on this page, I saw that a few bands, specifically 5 Seconds of Summer, did this. And I love the whole personal touch, and I love the idea, and it suggests that the audience and fans, or it suggests to the audience that the bands are more down to earth, and they want to create more of a personal connection, which could help in the future for like ticket sales and merch, etc. But it's a really personal touch, more than just plugging your YouTube and all of that, for example. It also lets you have a little bit of a comment section here, which would allow some of the really die-hard fans to have little combos and about the latest topics and everything like that. Just to show that all of these outlinks do work as well, if it loads. I've made sure that all of them are up to date and all of them are working. So yeah. I'm not going to go through all of them because it's taking quite a while for some reason. But yeah, I've got it all working and it all looks pretty good. Okay, so finally on this page, I've selected a few items from some of their best-selling ones to their latest items. So this store is working. It is in working order. You can like add different items, like you can add them to your cart. For example, I've done that here. I don't know why it's not coming up with the image, but you can take it through pretty much to the very end, but it won't quite answer it because I don't obviously have the stock. I think that it's really interesting to see that I've been able to create this whole process, and yeah, I'm quite impressed with myself. I feel as though the whole website as a whole, you can clearly see that there is a connection to what my other work has been. Yeah, I'm quite happy with the way it turned out. So this sums up my video for how do your products use or challenge conventions.